Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up. So quick little announcement before I get into my wrap-up. This Saturday, December 12th at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time, I am going to be doing a live discussion with Margaret Pinard, and we're going to be discussing goals for 2021. Specifically, we're doing a vision collage party. So basically, we're going to get a bunch of material for making collages and just kind of go with what we feel, put it together, and it will kind of be our image for 2021, which hopefully will be a better year than 2020. Not that 2020 was a horrible year. I mean, a lot of bad things happened, and I think a lot of people have struggled. I've struggled, but at the same time, I feel like I've grown a lot this year. I feel like there's definitely been good things. I've come a lot closer to my family this year, and I felt myself develop as a person through all these experiences. So in a lot of ways, it's been a good year. It's just been crazy and a lot of things going on in the world, and it's been a hard year. I'll say it's been a hard year, but not necessarily a horrible year. I think some people might disagree, but for me, I feel like there was still good things this year. It wasn't completely awful. It was just definitely hard. So anyway, hopefully 2021 will be a little less hard, and we'll be able to come out of this pandemic with the recent vaccine finally getting put into circulation. Hopefully we are on the beginning of an upward swing in life and in the world. So anyway, feel free to join in with that. That will be on Margaret Pinard's channel, which I will link down below if you are interested in watching that, and also joining in if you want to watch it while you do your own vision collage because you think it sounds fun. Feel free. But anyway, let's get into the books I read in November. Also, if you're wondering, no, I do not have contacts finally. I am very blind filming this video, but I'm tired of dealing with the glare on my glasses when I don't have to, and for this video, I don't need to see super well in order to do it, so we're just going to go through this literally blind, but it's cool. Okay, so the first book I completed in November was actually a book I read for school, but it's one I really enjoyed and I think a lot of other people might find value in reading, and that is Haldol and Hyacinths, A Bipolar Life by Melody Moezzi. This is a mental health memoir following Melody Moezzi as she experiences being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and even just her experiences having been diagnosed just with depression earlier on, and then how her diagnoses progressed as mental health professionals around her became more aware of what exactly she was experiencing. She's also the daughter of Persian parents, so they grew up in Iran. She lived part of her life in Iran, however, most of her life has been spent in the US, so we're able to see that cultural difference. She's also very passionate about the political situations going on between the US and Iran, as most people are, but especially for her since it hits so close to home, and so that's also explored throughout this book, and I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it, I believe, 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. Melody Moezzi has this great sense of humor. She's also very honest about her experience, very open, and it was just very refreshing to read. Her writing is very easy to get into. Again, it made me laugh out loud. It was so funny. And it was just a great exploration of bipolar disorder, which I feel like is a disorder that's getting more better understood amongst the public. However, I feel like we still have a long way to go, especially with psychotic disorders like bipolar disorder. I feel like depression and anxiety are things most people understand at this point, but some of these other mental health problems often are just not understood. And so I love that she put this out there to gain more understanding. However, it didn't get a 5 stars from me, first of all because just the chronological order that she put this in, she didn't do it chronologically. It kind of jumped around a little bit, and so it was hard for me to keep up with what was happening when, and it just felt very disorganized, so it was hard to read because of that. I also felt that I would have liked to see her write this with a little bit more experience. She wrote this not long after her official diagnosis and her, I guess it was technically her second stay in an institution, after she had a huge manic episode that ended in a psychotic break and put her in a mental institution, and at that point she was diagnosed, and I feel like she wrote this not long after that. And so I feel like she kind of, like, we got to the point where she was diagnosed, but we didn't really see much after that because she just hadn't experienced much after that, which is totally fine. I liked being able to see the run-up and it was good, but I would like to see even like a sequel to this, and maybe there is one, I haven't really looked into it, but a sequel to this explaining her experience since then and continuing on and seeing how she continues to grow within that diagnosis and within understanding better what her condition is. And I just felt like I didn't get that, so that was unfortunate. But overall, I thought it was a really good read. I will say a lot of trigger warnings just for mental illness in general. This is addressing a lot of different mental illnesses. In fact, she also had an eating disorder for a while when she was younger. She's been able to overcome that a little bit more but in recent years, but she still has struggled with it throughout her life. And she uses humor as a coping mechanism, so she can be really crass and come across as kind of inappropriate in her jokes about mental illness, which is just how she copes. And for some people, I think will be able to handle it fine, but I think there's a lot of people who may struggle with that, or especially if they have some of these disorders, it may be triggering for them. So just be aware of that going into it, but I really, really enjoyed this and would recommend it. I don't know if I'm ever going to reread it. I own it now. This is my copy. It looks like a library copy because I purchased it from a library, but anyway, but it might be one I want to come back to as I continue to learn about bipolar disorder and other disorders like that, just because I'm studying psychology. That's why I had to read this for one of my classes. But yeah, it was really good, and if you're curious about it, I definitely recommend it. Up next, I have kind of the disappointment of the month, although I didn't completely hate this book. It just wasn't my favorite, and that is A Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars, and it was enjoyable. It wasn't like I had a horrible time reading it. In fact, it's probably the most romantic novel by Hardy that I've ever read. I feel like most of his other novels, like, there's romance in them, but there's a lot of other things going on that impact the romance, yes, but also just cause these other plot lines to happen. And this one really didn't have that. It was mostly focused on the romance, which was fun in a lot of ways, especially when considering that this book is, at least the main character, Elfried, is based on his first wife, Emma, and then a lot of people believe that Stephen Smith, one of the love interests within the love triangle, is actually based on Hardy himself, though he says that's not true. So that fact kind of makes the fact that the romance is so big in this super sweet. However, the thing I like about Hardy, I've found reading this book, this is just helping me further understand my love of Hardy, is I love that he's able to have these romances, but that have all these other things going on within them. You know, we have, for example, The Hand of Ethelberta. Ethelberta comes from this lower class. She's kind of been raised up in a really astounding way, especially for the time, through marriage, and is hiding her past, and she's really trying to consider, you know, what's best for her and her family and what she really wants out of life. And so there's a lot of things going on with that. And this one just really was focused on the romance and this connection between Elfried and these two men and just the changing affection and stuff. And so it didn't contain the things Hardy does that I really love, and it made it kind of boring for me. I also don't know how I feel about the ending of this book. I feel like, as I've said in the past, I really love Hardy's endings for the most part. I enjoy just what they add to the story, even if they're abrupt or people may not love the endings of certain books. However, this one, I just really struggled to see the purpose behind his choice of ending here, and I guess I kind of get it, and I think on further reflection I'll appreciate it more, but I don't feel like I feel like it could have had other endings that would have added a little more to the story than this one did. I don't know. I had mixed emotions about it. I also predicted the ending. Granted, part of it was spoiled for me, but there are 2 plot twists to this, one of which I already mentioned I was spoiled for. However, the second I did guess, and I think I've reached the point where I've read enough of Hardy's works where I'm able to predict the endings a little bit better, which is kind of interesting, but I didn't mind that I predicted the ending because I did kind of like it. I don't know. I'm still really processing my thoughts on the ending, and I finished this like a few weeks ago. So anyway, one thing I really liked about this book though was Elfriede as main character. She just felt very different from other hardy female heroines that I just really was drawn to her. She had kind of a wildness to her that most of his other heroines don't usually have. And I kind of appreciated that more extravagant and brutally honest and open personality that Elfriede had. But other than that, again, it was just a more boring hardy for me. Of the 10 I've read, I think this is number 9 on my list. So pretty low down. I think I like it better than Under the Greenwood Tree, but that's about it. So, and then up next we have a book that I was listening to all through October and into November. So many of you have already heard some of my thoughts on it, so I will keep it brief, but it is The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope, and I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. I just adored it so much. So this is a story following a man named Melmotte who ends up coming to London and is very wealthy and starts up these businesses. However, he may not be all that he seems, and there's also an eclectic cast of characters surrounding him with their own storylines, so a lot going on, but it's so good. I just found myself drawn into this story from start to finish. Like, I was never bored. I was never at a point where I was like, I don't really want to listen to it right now. And most of the time with longer classics, especially if I'm listening to them on audiobook, I kind of reach a point often where I'm not as interested, or there's like a couple chapters that are a little more boring and unnecessary, but this one didn't have a single one. I was literally just completely enthralled the entire time, and it switched perspectives a lot and storylines a lot, but I didn't mind because I was interested in all of them. I found the characters to be amazing. Some of my favorite characters, for those who have read this and are curious, I really loved Roger Carberry. I also really liked Mrs. Hurdle, and I really liked Mari Melmotte. I thought they were all fabulous characters for different reasons. Roger was just such a sweet man and definitely flawed like everybody else in here, but he had so much character and just really a stand-up person, and I really liked him. Mari Melmotte was just interesting. I don't know, just her thoughts on romance and love and how they developed throughout the novel were very interesting. And then Mrs. Hurdle I just found to be just a powerhouse of a woman and just very interesting in what she brought into this London society. She's an American that comes to London, and she really just has such a different view of life, and it was interesting to see that difference, I guess, especially because she comes from Western America, meaning she's from California. You know, the Wild West kind of a situation is what she's used to, so she's extra on the harsh side for an American, so to speak, and she's just wonderful. There were several romances in this, and I really liked the romance that Lady Carberry ended up in. I didn't really love her as a character. I felt bad for her a lot, but I just really, when that romance came together towards the end, I honestly got a little teary-eyed because I thought it was so cute. Wow, I said that really weird. Little teary-eyed because it was just so cute, and it was just wonderful. This book covers things such as scandal, fraud, love, marriage, kinship, money, woman's position, abuse, so many different things, suicide, and it's all just so interesting to read about, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm definitely glad I started here with Trollope. I wasn't sure because of its length. I had heard it was a good place to start, but I was like, it's kind of long, I don't know, but I'm really glad I started here with Trollope, although I'm slightly worried that his other stuff won't stand up to this because this is now a favorite book of mine, and it would be a shame if I don't like his other stuff as much, but I think I will. Based on other people's love of his work, I think I'll continue to love his work after this, but this was definitely amazing, and I'm so excited to read more by Trollope. And the fourth and final book I want to mention for this month's wrap-up is The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. I did a vlog in which I read most of this, so I'm not going to go too much into detail. I will link that vlog down below if you're interested to see more of my thoughts. But I will just say I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. 4.5 out of 5 stars, excuse me. I forgot there was one thing in the romance that I really don't like. It was very insta-lovey, and I felt like I never got to know the love interest, and I didn't feel like the main character ever got to know the love interest either, even after the insta-love. Like, there was still no development of understanding between each other. Like, barely knew him at all, didn't even know his past hardly at all, and it was frustrating, but it was a really good story. This follows a woman named Langorith, I think that's how it's pronounced, whose twin brother Lailoken is the man that many people believe inspired the legend of Merlin, and Langorith is also a real historical figure from this time period, 500 AD, and she was a great queen within the British Isles. However, she's largely been lost to history, as the title of this book says, The Lost Queen, and it was just really good. It's very character driven, very slow paced. It's just really trying to bring this world to life, really trying to bring these characters to life. So if you struggle with slow-paced books, maybe don't pick this up. But if you enjoy a slow-paced, more character-driven story that still has some plot, that really introduces you to a time period in history that you may not know about very much, definitely pick this up. I'm really, really glad I read it, and I immediately purchased the sequel to this. I don't know when I'm going to read it, but I'd like to get to it as soon as possible because I loved this so much. Also, this cover is absolutely gorgeous, so you know, always a great thing. But anyway, love it, highly recommend if you feel like you can handle the slow pace. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I will go over really quick, actually, the books I'm currently reading. I am still currently listening to The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I am just under halfway through, so hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll be able to finish it so I can get started on the 5, which I'm intending on listening to by the end of the year. But I'm enjoying this, not loving it, probably a 3 or 4 stars depending on how the rest of it goes. And then I've also started Inkspell by Cornelia Funke, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm only like 50 pages in, 40 pages in, so not far at all, but it's just so whimsical and magical and perfect for these last couple weeks of school for me. So anyway, there's that, and I will let you go. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, as I would love to know. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you want to see more from me, I try to post at least once a week, often though recently I've been doing twice a week, Monday and Friday, and I am intending on probably doing a 12 Days of Christmas Vlogmas thing. I can't do it the whole month because of school, but once school's out, I might be able to do like a 12 days of Christmas situation. So I'm thinking about doing that, no promises, but look forward to that to see if I actually end up doing it. And I will see you next time. Bye!